Dates and Mates with your host, Damona Hoffman.
Hello out there, my lovers. Welcome to Dates and Mates, where we make modern love simple for you. I'm your host, Damona Hoffman, certified dating coach, and the holiday season is upon us. So today's show, we're gonna cut right to the chase and deal with what is on your mind right now. I'm calling it holidating. I don't know if this is a word I made up, Producer Thomas, but I think it's the perfect title for
works very well
what
for
we're
the
going to talk
season,
about.
yes.
For the season. Because I always
quippy.
it's quippy, it's
Can
cute.
make it a hashtag.
Hashtag holidating. Because everybody at this time of year always says to me, I'm lonely for the holidays. I want to be with someone, but I don't know if I should just wait. Are people just too busy right now? I'm wanting to get a head start on finding somebody before Valentine's Day, a head start on my New Year's resolution. Should I wait? Should I date? What should I do? Are we holidating or not? So we're going to be covering that today. But that's not all we're talking about. We have headlines including OKCupid switching up the way they match eligible singles. This is news that the online daters who are holidating definitely need to know. And how spanking your child might affect their future relationships. Plus, we have your questions in Technically Dating. Coming up in the second half of the show, we have topics like dating a married man and what to do if he doesn't love you back. And we'll discuss who should be initiating sex in a committed relationship. I also am joined in studio by a very special guest co-host today, Francesca Hogi. She is a certified matchmaker and love coach. She's nationally recognized, y'all, on the subject of dating and relationships. She appears as the regular love expert on NBC's The Today Show and the Hoda Kotb Show, which I realized yesterday when producer Thomas told me I'd been saying her name wrong probably a decade.
It's a tricky one.
How are you pronouncing it?
Kobe.
Oh.
Wrong.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Totally wrong. Well, sometimes when you see
you must not
letters
listen
that
to her
don't go
radio show.
together, then you just drop
Cut one of them out.
and then it makes sense. But Hoda Kotb has a show on SiriusXM, and Francesca Hogi is the love expert that guests on that show. But prior to her love career, Francesca was a corporate lawyer. We have to talk about that. And she also appeared as a contestant on 2 seasons of CBS's Survivor. Please give big smooches to Francesca Hogi.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Damona.
I am so glad that you are here. And, we've been like circling around each other for a while.
Yeah.
And so I've wanted to have you on the show. And this is the perfect time of year because I know you specialize in helping people find love. And I know you can do it very quickly for folks that are ready to turn their life around. Yes. But let's just wait. You said you were a lawyer before you were a dating coach. Let's just talk about that quickly before we get into the tips. How did you make that transition?
So back when I was a lawyer, I had a dating advice blog because I've always liked talking about dating and relationships, and I've always liked meddling in other people's love lives. So when I found out that people actually had a career in the love industry and helping people find love, I was like, oh my God, I want to do that. Will anybody hire me to do that?
So like me, you were kind of creeping on the side as a dating coach and like giving people advice even while you were doing another career.
I mean, I was that person who, if a friend of mine was like, oh, I really want to meet someone or I like this guy, I'd be like, let's make this happen. And I was always that person who was pushing people, like setting people up. I mean, I set up one of my best friends with her husband. Like I was always that person who was, some people don't like to get involved in other people's love lives. Not me. Mm-hmm. I've always been like, what's going on? Let's talk about it. What are we going to do about it?
So how would you classify your philosophy in modern dating?
So, well, in modern dating, right now, my philosophy is it's all a mess and everybody's struggling. So if you feel like you're struggling too, don't feel alone because I think people feel alone. But I really believe that if you're really open and motivated to find a partner who's compatible with you for the right reasons, that if you're smart about it, you can make that happen.
I believe that too. But I would venture to say, I don't know how to phrase this, but I would say that it's not a mess right now. I think people are making it too much of a mess in their minds. They're overcomplicating it.
Well, everyone, that is definitely true. It's being overcomplicated for a lot of reasons, but I think it is a mess because there's just a lot of growing pains. People don't know what to do. People don't know is this a date? People don't know, is this a relationship? People don't know what to say in their online dating profiles. They don't know how to determine whether someone is real or not. I mean, there's a lot of confusion right now, and technology is great, and it has brought so much opportunity for people to find love that would have otherwise actually had a harder time. But along with that comes all these other complications, like what does this text message mean? And, all of these things. So there are a lot of people who are struggling. And I talk to people who are 20 and 60 who have the same dating problems.
Yeah.
And there could not have been any time in human history where that was the case, right? But
that is true. And I think a lot of the people that are in the older generation that are maybe coming back to dating, who haven't ever had to deal with this sort of technology, they weren't even in the dating pool.
Oh yeah, they have no idea. They're
even like 15 years ago, if
Yeah.
you got divorced or your spouse passed away, it was like, well, I guess you should enjoy your singlehood. But now they
Yeah.
can get back out and have this whole resurgence and discover new people. I think it's a wonderful time. But the communication, I think, has definitely changed. And I used to just ignore texting. But now I've had to incorporate it, and now I've made it like a major part of my philosophy, because I think that is where communication has moved, and we have to catch up and educate people, right?
Absolutely. And people don't know. So if we don't figure it out and we don't look, I mean, you and I are in a good position because we talk to so many people, and we can look at it from this very high level, like this is what's going on generally. But when one individual person is just dating and like, what does this text message mean? And have I texted too soon? And is this too much? Like they're so in their head, freaking out, like feeling very alone in that process. But, people like us can say, no, you're not alone, and this is what's going on, and these are best practices, and, that's probably what this text message means, and, that sort of thing.
Sometimes you need that extra set of eyes to decipher what's really happening, because when we layer our feelings and hopes and dreams and expectations on an emoji, it gets real deep real fast.
It gets real deep real fast. What does that emoji mean? Oh my God.
It means what it says it means, obviously.
I sent a heart eye emoji. Was it too soon to send a heart eye emoji?
You should have sent a star eye emoji. What's wrong with you? No, but during this time of year especially, I don't know about you, but people are freaking out.
People are freaking out, but they shouldn't.
Right?
This is a great time of year to meet someone.
Okay, so wait, we talked a few weeks ago about cuffing season.
Yes.
I swear I had never heard that title until maybe like 3 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was
that's
like,
fine. Yeah.
wait, this is a season? This is a thing?
This is a thing, and this is something that is a phenomenon that's happened before we actually called it cuffing season, which is something that's been a recent term that's come into the.
Thank you for making me feel like I'm still up on the.
No. So the fact that you've known what cuffing season is for 3 years, you're ahead. You're ahead of the curve.
All right, girl.
But there are a few reasons why it happens. One is the way that we socialize in the summertime versus the wintertime is very different, right? In the summertime, people tend to be more social. There are more group activities. You spend more time outside. You're meeting more people. And so people are not as focused on meeting a partner necessarily because there's a lot of distractions and things can kind of happen a bit more organically. But when it comes to the colder months, the days get shorter, the activities move indoors, you spend more time alone, the holidays come around, and it's like, oh, it's the end of the year. People start reflecting and start thinking about like, oh, I need someone. I want someone to spend the holidays with. I want somebody to be on the couch with me. I want somebody to help keep me warm this winter. So it's something that I think is very natural for humans to want that connection in the colder weather.
Sure. We need somebody to light our fire.
We need somebody
literally and figuratively.
Exactly. But now that we have online dating, we have all this technology, we can actually see that there is a huge spike. So Match.com, for instance. So I was Match's official cuffing season expert this year.
Yeah.
And so cuffing season starts the Sunday after Halloween. That's the official start, and it goes through Valentine's Day. And on Match and on every site, they can see that there was a huge spike of new users coming onto the platform, activity increases. So people are looking. So because so many people are looking, that's what makes it a great time for you to look if you're looking for love. This is like, get out there, don't wait.
But people are getting so overwhelmed, Francesca, because right now we're coming to the end of the year. I'm super overwhelmed with all of my holiday party invitations. I'm not saying that like I'm so popular. I'm just saying like it gets overwhelming. Like, one is a lot for me. I'm like, oh wait, I have to fit this into my daily schedule, and then I have to think about buying presents. And especially if you start dating someone right now, there's the whole question of, do I owe them a present, and what should it be?
Yeah.
Is this a good time, like psychologically? We know a lot of people are online, but is this a good time psychologically to start a relationship?
It's a good time psychologically to start a relationship as long as you don't put too much pressure. Just because it's the holidays doesn't mean that you should fast forward into super coupledom. You're giving each other these amazing, thoughtful, expensive gifts. Like it's too much too soon. So to the extent that people can say, our relationship is coinciding. The start of our relationship is coinciding with the holidays. So like, let's spend some time together. Like maybe set some rules about gifts. Like maybe you'll make each other something, or you won't spend more than $20, or you'll just cook each other a nice meal or something simple, right? Just to take that pressure off of like, do I have to buy this person who I just started dating 2 weeks ago an expensive gift or a really thoughtful gift? Like, no, it's too soon. So,
I like that. I like that you're very reasonable about these things. Because I feel like, some of us girls out here be needing things over the holidays and having expectations like, oh, well, we just started dating a month ago, but he should be giving me jewelry or taking me out somewhere fancy for New Year's or what have you.
I completely disagree with that approach. And if you were a person who knows that you want that, then you needed to have started from meeting someone earlier in the year.
I mean, maybe if you met on the sugar daddy dating site, then that's okay.
Maybe then.
Let's talk about New Year's, because that's just around the corner.
Yeah, it is. Can't believe it.
A lot of times I would hear, I need someone to kiss on New Year's Eve.
That's a big thing that people want. If you just want someone to kiss on New Year's, this is so much of what goes on in the mind of a dater is influenced by pop culture and all of the movies and the TV, all the romantic comedies you've seen all your life. And there's always that pressure on New Year's Eve. It's got to be this really fun night. And if you don't have someone to kiss at midnight, then you're starting off your new year like sad and lonely and all that.
That's what I always hear. I don't know if this is, my mom has a lot of like southern, like black Southern,
like superstitions.
Yeah. And she's like, what you're doing at midnight, you're going to be doing the whole rest of the year. And it's like, sleeping, because that's what my New Year's has been like most years.
Celebrated on East Coast time as a kid. That was like, all right, 9 p.m. Let's watch the ball drop.
It's not a joke, Producer Thomas. That is my New Year's Eve schedule. I'm like, well, we made it till midnight on the East Coast.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
You look like you stay up till real midnight.
I stay up till real midnight.
Good for you. What's your secret? Red Bull?
Oh, no, it's Demona. Midnight is not that late. I stayed up to midnight last night.
Oh, wow.
And the night before, actually. But that's my own problem.
I got to hang with you more often.
I was staying up too late. But so people have put a lot of pressure on themselves. Look, if you just want someone to kiss at midnight, that's all you care about. Like, you can go to any New Year's party and find someone to kiss. There'll be plenty of people happy to kiss
there.
you.
Okay.
Oh, I've been there too. I've totally been like, I walk into a party, I'm like, I'm kissing somebody tonight. And, if you're...
It's going to be you, all of you. That's happened.
Just depends on how high your standards are and how much you had to drink and all that.
Oh, I thought you were going to go a different way. How high? Well, I love your advice, and people can get more of your advice at francescahogi.com, or you're on all the socials.
I'm on all the socials.
At Dear Franny.
At Dear Franny. Super easy to find.
But this is not all, because you have to talk with me about the headlines of the week in the Dating Dish.
Dee's Dating Dish.
I love having a good celebrity story to kick off the Dating Dish with, because sometimes we talk about breakups and makeups, but I like new relationships to report on. I don't know if you've heard, Francesca, but Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin are apparently definitely a thing. I just for a frame of reference, Dakota Johnson from all the 50 Shades movies.
She's Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson's daughter.
And totally looks like it, right?
Yeah.
And Chris Martin from Coldplay, formerly known as Mr. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yes.
They're dating. And to put this in perspective, just for for anyone that cares, Dakota is 28 and Chris is 40. And that's fine.
That's
so
not huge.
If we're going to do math,
that's not a huge.
That's a 12-year difference,
Yeah.
which is, carry the one. I don't know. It's kind of a big gap at that phase of life.
Well, I think, and also because he was married for so long and because he has kids, I think that if he was 40 and he'd never been married or he didn't have a family, I think that would be one thing.
Sure.
But I don't know anything actually about her personal life or her romantic history.
I could tell you. Apparently, she was seen with John Hamm, also an older gentleman for her.
Yeah, he's over 40 for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And also formerly married.
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
And he's for sure also over 40. So she likes.
He likes blondes, so I can see why that didn't work out.
And she clearly likes an older man. So she knows. But when did
her
John
dad, I mean, he's like these guys' age. What were you going to say?
Or no.
Thomas?
I mean, to pass up on that Musk money, Chris Martin's got to be bringing something to the table.
I mean, let's not turn our nose up at Coldplay money.
It's no Musk money. I mean, he's gonna own the moon pretty soon.
You know what? There's a point at which how much money do you need?
Yeah.
I will say a friend of mine was at a comedy show last week, and she said Elon Musk was backstage too, and she was like, it was like there was this halo around him, like everyone back there was famous, and so she's like, oh, there's that person, and she's like, but there was this glow coming off of Elon Musk. She's like, I don't know if it was the money or just his confidence or his intelligence.
Yeah.
But she said, I can see why he pulls chicks.
Really, to me, he seems kind of strange. He doesn't seem like someone I would want to date, actually.
How does Chris Martin seem to you then?
Chris Martin seems really normal. Like he seems like a regular guy.
But he has 2 earrings. I cannot do the 2 earrings thing.
It's not my favorite thing.
So
but
89.
But
I can't do it.
He seems just like a guy who, he likes to, I don't know, have some drinks with his friend. Like he seems like though he was married to Gwyneth Paltrow for a long time, and does not seem
She's
that
at
way.
a whole another level.
So clearly there is some side of him that is a little bit more high maintenance than that comes across. But yeah, I mean, I think obviously like good for Dakota and Chris. I hope that they are very happy together.
Do you think she does that 50 Shades stuff like in her personal life? Like sort of once you've been exposed to it, or are you just like, oh well, yeah.
So much work. Who needs all that? All of the
No, you need a whole
all
room
of
for
the
it.
all of the gear. You gotta like. I mean, it's like that's highly specific. You gotta really be into that to put in all that work just to get some.
It is a lot of work. You know what else is a lot of work to get some? Online dating. And I always say this to folk. I say this to folks because it's like I hear, oh, well, I tried online dating and it didn't work. And I say, well, how long were you on it? Well, a week.
Yeah.
And did you swipe on anybody or did you send any messages? And they're like, well, no, I didn't see anyone I liked. I'm sorry. You didn't see anybody in the whole world that you liked. That is just maddening to me.
Yeah.
But I just read about this new approach that OKCupid is launching, and I'm kind of jazzed about it because now they're letting you search by interest rather than, so many of the swipe apps. It's like it's become so
superficial.
Yeah.
It's like you're swiping on. You're basically judging people on how well they take photos.
Yeah. Exactly. You could be real ugly and take real great photos, and then you get a lot of right swipes. No, everybody's beautiful in the world.
Everyone is beautiful to
their
someone.
own way.
Yes,
in their own exactly. But everyone's interests are beautiful to someone, and I'm really pumped about this because I've been saying for a long time that searching based on interest is going to get you a better match, and this is why I met my husband online years ago, and it was the connection over shared interests and goals and values and that sort of thing, which you just miss when you're swiping just on looks.
Yeah, I know it's great. And it's also a good conversation starter because one big problem people have online is that they don't know what to say in a first message. Mm-hmm. And there's so much terrible messaging, especially on apps. On apps, the messaging is especially bad. And if you have something in common, if you have an interest in common, that's a very, very easy conversation starter, and it makes it a lot easier for someone to want to respond to you as well.
And it was one of my secret online dating expert tricks with Match, which is one of the sites that I put a lot of my clients on. They had the keyword search feature in the same way that they're doing it with OKCupid, and they got rid of it recently.
Why did they get rid of it?
I don't know. We got to talk to our friends at Match because I was like, wait, this was my secret this is my secret weapon in being able to find people through the cracks, because everybody comes on and does the same search. I'm looking for someone 30 to 40 within 20 miles of me with, this build and this color hair and this color eyes.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no wonder you feel like there's no one online, because you're searching for the same 10 people every time you go.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, this is the kind of end run around it, where you search by an interest and then it picks up something in their profile.
Yeah.
So I think it's really great that OKCupid is doing this discovery feature that lets you find people.
Good job, OKCupid.
Good job, OKCupid. Also owned by Match.
Yes.
So maybe Match will bring it back too. Francesca, I don't know about you, but I have kids and I think about spanking them, but I have never done it. But it's crossed my mind. But after reading this recent article in USA Today, I think I shouldn't. We're trying to raise world citizens for the future. And this headline said, spanked children are more likely to commit dating violence.
I think that logically makes sense. I mean, if you send a child a message that it's okay to hit people that you love, like if you have a good reason. If you have a good reason to inflict physical violence, it's okay. That is inherently what spanking says. Mm-hmm. So I could see how for some people, of course, there are tons of people who were spanked who would never hit another person in maybe a child, but not in a romantic relationship. But I think it makes sense to me that logically makes sense to me that if you get spanked enough at a young enough age, I can see how that would really impact your development and your view of violence and inside relationships.
Did you ever get a spanking?
So I can't remember, but I might have. I mean, I definitely remember being threatened.
You blocked it out. You suppressed that memory.
I definitely remember being threatened with a spanking. And I don't remember if the threat was ever carried out.
I got threatened with spanking based on my sister's previous spankings.
Right.
Like, my mom would be like, oh, I used to do this to your sister, and I'd pinch her or whatever. And she's like, you want me to do that to me? And I'm like, oh, no, you can't do it. But we grew up in kind of different eras because she's a lot older than I am. And I can see that there's a correlation, but I guess it has more to do with, like you said, the level of acceptance of violence than just that, this happened to me, and so now I'm going to do that.
Yeah. I mean,
I wonder what else they were kind of exposed to or what to create this result.
I mean, I think I think in the mind of a young child, if you tell them it's okay for me to hit you under a certain set of circumstances, I think I could see how for kids it's hard to then distinguish between, like, how do you make that distinction between, like, okay, it's okay to hit in this circumstance but not in this one, right?
Yeah.
So I could see how
sophisticated
it would just make you think, like, okay, if you're angry at someone, you have a right to hit them.
Yeah, that's true. I've definitely been pushed to the brink a few times,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I would not do that, but I can see why people might. I can
see why people. I mean, I don't have children, and I don't plan on having children, so I don't. This is all theoretical for me because I don't think I'll ever have any children. But I don't think that I would ever spank my child as much as I might have an impulse like, oh my God, if I could just give this kid a smack, that would just solve everything right now.
But there's also been a huge shift in the societal beliefs on the issue of spanking. Like, my parents didn't spank me, but I don't think nobody would have called the cops on them if they did. And now it's like you look at your kid the wrong way, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna report you."
But asking people that question, which I did today on social media, did your parents spank you? The majority of people have said yes, they did.
But then it would not be appropriate for them to spank their kids in today's society.
I would say at least half of them said that they do or would spank their own children. So,
but would they spank their partners in a 50 Shades way? I don't know.
Hopefully.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more of Francesca answering your questions with me in Technically Dating. I'm your host, Damona Hoffman, and we are broadcasting live from the Sunset Hour Studios in Hollywood. We'll be back right after this. Dates and Mates is sponsored by Damona Hoffman's Relationship Boot Camp. Has your relationship hit a plateau? Do you and your spouse need to get your groove back? Are the pressures of life getting in the way of you and your partner truly connecting? Then Damona Hoffman's Relationship Boot Camp is just the thing you need to get your romance right. This free 1-week e-course is available at the website freerelationshipbootcamp.com. You can get a daily exercise delivered to your inbox that will help you rediscover romance with your mate. You can try new bonding activities, get interesting insights into the way your partner thinks, and crack the code on long-term relationship health. I designed this course myself, and it's been tried and tested time and time again by happy couples who have reignited that spark. And the course is totally free. So just go to freerelationshipbootcamp.com today to sign up. Yep, join me, Damona Hoffman, at freerelationshipbootcamp.com, and I'll get your relationship back on track. Welcome back, lovers, to Dates and Mates. I'm your host, Damona Hoffman, here with Francesca Hogi of francescahogi.com and at Dear Franny on the socials.
Hi.
You have all of the advice. You do this on the Today Show.
I have a lot of opinions.
Well, that's what we need on this show. That's all we have here, are opinions.
Yep.
So you're in the right place.
We've got some science. We've got some data.
We got some data.
And we have experience.
And most importantly, we have questions from listeners that have posted their questions on the Techspert app, where you can get crowdsourced advice, and you can download the app for free on the App Store. So these questions are from real people who are dealing with real issues, just like you folks at home. This one comes to us from a gal. She's 18, and she says, so this guy and I were good friends, and we had sex together the other night. We were both drunk, but now he won't even talk to me or anything. We were supposed to go to a concert together this weekend, and now he just texted me that he can't go. What does it mean when a guy acts weird like that?
So in this situation, given the fact that you were already friends and you got drunk, he either could be embarrassed, he could be regretful. You got to talk to him.
Or he just simply doesn't remember it.
I think he remembers.
He remembers. He's blocking it out.
But yeah, you got to talk to him. I mean, it's unfortunate that this is his reaction, but there's this is the thing. Whenever we can speculate about what someone is thinking or why they're behaving a certain way, but it's always going to be speculation. Mm-hmm. And you may never actually know the truth, but at least having a conversation about it is your best shot of figuring out what's going on.
People are so afraid of a conversation because they're afraid of what the outcome would be. I'm feeling like, from reading this, like maybe she wants it to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
She still wants to hang out with him. I don't know if I buy this. Like, oh, well, we're friends, but we're F buddies, and we go to concerts together, like right after we had sex, and I don't want anything from him. It sounds like there might be
do that, but it sounds like maybe not with her in this particular case.
Some people do that, but I don't know. I think sometimes they're lying to themselves. But I think she caught a little bit of feelings here because she's caring about what the outcome is.
Well, she would always care because they were friends, right? And also, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to sleep with someone in any context and then afterwards have them like not want to talk to you.
That's the thing. She doesn't want to be ignored.
That never feels good. So, and if depending on how close their friendship was, that definitely makes the situation even worse. But because they were friends first, that's why. I mean, if it was a guy that she'd met on, I don't know, Tinder or something, I feel like, yeah, he's just not that into you. But because you had a friendship, I don't know. You guys got drunk. What happened? Like, how was the sex? Maybe he feels embarrassed. Maybe, I don't know. It could be any number of things. But if there was a real friendship there, then it's worth a conversation.
I'm going to just speculate here, since that's what she's doing. What if he has a girlfriend? What if he has like a secret girlfriend that she didn't know about, and now he feels really awkward because he cheated on his girlfriend that she didn't know, and now he can't be friends with her either?
You're a conspiracy theorist, aren't you?
I'm a dating conspiracy theorist. I mean, I like to take questions that are complicated and make them more complicated because I'm trying to get to the root of the why. I mean, there has to be some reason.
There's always a reason. And actually, and the other thing that I would say, though, and I just want to make this clear, is maybe you don't want to continue to be friends with this guy, because if this is how he would treat you, it's not a good indication. But I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, and that's why I want you to have a conversation with him. That's my advice. But if this is how he treats his friends, it's not cool.
That's not cool. Imagine how he treats his frenemies. Oh, speaking of not being treated so well, this is a juicy, juicy question from a female who is 30 from the great state of Alabama.
Oh boy.
Thank you, Alabama.
Thank you, Alabama. My mom is.
I have to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I did get a review on iTunes recently. Y'all can read it if you want, but I did get a review from a listener who didn't appreciate how political I was getting. And it's just
We are not political
We're not
at
that
all.
political. I think she must have listened. There was one episode where Ray got a little bit frisky.
Yeah.
I don't get too political, but it's a little bit hard for me to completely divorce my professional views. And I think also when it's one of the most divisive issues in dating right now.
Oh, it's
and so to
huge.
not talk about it, I think is a complete disservice to our audience. So I'm sorry if I offended the person that did the review or anyone else who's listening. If you disagree with that and you like that we include politics and all of the religion, all these sticky issues that are challenging in dating, do leave us a review on iTunes and tell us what you think. So that I know that everybody doesn't hate it. But I just wanted to acknowledge that because
My mom is
we
from
slipped
Alabama.
in. Oh, for real?
Mhm. Born and raised in Alabama.
Did she vote?
No, I mean she's lived in New York since she was 20 years old. But
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure somebody she knows voted. So-
Yes,
Okay, so
we still
sorry
have
to get
family there.
political, but now we're gonna answer this lady's question. It's a doozy. So listen up. She's a female, 30 from Alabama. She says, "I've been seeing this guy for over a year who is married while I was married." Okay, so here's the deal. It's her boss. She was leaving the job. It was her boss to remove herself from the situation before things went too far. She was at her going away party from leaving this job, and things escalated. And for a year, they've been having sex. Now she's married. He is about to move away, and she said to him, she asked if he ever loved her because he led her to believe that he did. And then my computer went to sleep. He said no. Yeah. That's when my computer went to sleep. So he said he didn't love her, and she was irate. And I'm not sure how this all went down, but she says he helped me lose 2 jobs and ruin my marriage. So she got a divorce, but he's still married and was still sleeping with her. She threatened to tell his wife and his boss.
Oh.
And she's wondering if she should follow through on that.
So
Hell hath no fury, Francesca.
Seriously. So I am sympathetic to the situation. However, it sounds to me like she's not taking enough personal responsibility. He did not ruin your marriage. He's not in your marriage. You're in your marriage. You're the one who made the choice to have an affair for a year with this man. So that was your choice. I mean, I'm sure, well, I don't know. I even if he represented that he loved you and you guys were going to live happily ever after, all of that, you still made a choice to cheat on your husband with him. So that's on you. That's my feeling.
And obviously, if she took that step, there was something in her marriage that was broken in the first place. There was some issue that they were not dealing with for her to stray outside of her marriage.
And she has to take responsibility for that too, right? Like she was in a marriage that clearly wasn't working, and her response to that, I mean, I don't know what else she did, but at least based on the information we have, her response to that was to have an affair with her former boss. You know, there were a lot of other things she could have done. She could have, if the marriage was that bad, she could have left. I'm not saying that's always easy, but people do it all the time, even when it's not easy. She could have worked on her marriage. You know, so there are a lot of things. So that's the first piece, just personal responsibility. So when you look at it that way, as I have control over nothing but my own actions, then why try to sabotage his life?
Oh, but it's so grown up, Francesca. Having to take responsibility for your actions is just, it's adulting to the highest level.
I mean, you have the short-term satisfaction of, haha, I got you. But if you want love, you want connection. That's not going to get you any closer to that happening, right?
No.
So,
especially not with this guy.
Yeah.
Like he sounds like a slime ball that you don't even need in your life. Like if he's cheating on his wife, he's telling you whatever you want to hear while you're having sex with him. And then when you come right down to it and say, this is how I feel, he's like, no, I never loved you.
yeah.
And
I wonder if he ever told her that he loved her to begin with.
I wonder. See, now you're speculating.
I mean, I guess I just feel like actions speak louder than words. So when whether you are yourself married or not, if you're sleeping with somebody who's in a marriage or a relationship with someone else, no matter how much they say that they love you and they want to be with you, they're still choosing to be in that other situation. That to me speaks louder than any words of, any of those sweet nothings, right? So again, personal responsibility. I think this is a huge opportunity for growth and learning for this woman to say like, okay, like I got myself in this situation. I made these choices. Looking back now, knowing what I know now, where could I have made a different choice? What red flag, what fork in the road did I choose something that took me down this path? Like, look at it as something to learn from. If you just put it all on him, like it's all his fault. I mean, he sounds like not a nice guy, right? Like, I'm not like, I don't care about him, but if you look at is what can I learn from this situation? How did I get myself in this situation? Then this can be something that you can grow and move on from and not make the same mistakes in the past. But if you put it all on him, then you don't learn, you don't grow. And you'll find yourself in drama after drama after drama after drama.
Seriously. And furthermore, it is not your responsibility to tell his wife what's up or to get involved with his professional career and tell his boss, even though you could probably get some vindication from, telling his boss, I don't know what good that would, but telling his wife, like, maybe that would make you feel better for a second where you're like, ha, I got him. But in the end, like, I don't know if they have kids. Yeah, I don't know what their relationship is. Like, that's his stuff that he needs to deal with. And inserting yourself is not ultimately going to give you the satisfaction or it's not going to repair the damage that you've done really to your own self and your own self-esteem by allowing this man to take advantage of you for the last year.
Yeah. And then you want to get into this like retaliation thing. Like you do that, then how is he going to retaliate against you? Like why? Like why even set that into motion? I mean,
I know. It's a hard situation.
It's a hard situation. It can be really hard to let go and move on because you feel like you've let that person, quote unquote, get away with something. Mm-hmm. But it's not about that person. It's about you. It's about you, honey. I want more for you. That's why I want you to move on.
Totally. And it sounds like he's about to move away. So consider it a favor that he's doing to your life, that you will have an opportunity to get away from him and heal and do the self-work and grow.
Yeah. And one quick last thing.
Yes,
I think
Francesca.
She needs to ask herself, even though she's really mad right now, I suspect that if he were to say, you're right, I lied, I do love you, I'll be with you, she would take him. So, like, there's a lot going on here. So this is about hurt feelings and wanting something that you can't have.
Mm-hmm. That can be that's a slippery slope. Okay. This one comes to us from a female from Kentucky. She says, the only time me and my guy have sex is if I initiate. I feel like it has no passion. How do I get him to initiate and spice it up? Or does it mean that he's just not sexually attracted to me? Why do we girls do this and like make it always about us?
Yeah.
I mean, if he's having sex with you, even if you initiate, it's not that he's not attracted to you.
He could not be attracted to her.
He's having sex with her.
I mean,
he's getting it up.
Listen, there are plenty of men who are gay who have sex with women. They're able to like close their eyes and get it done,
So that's the question. Is he closing his
power
eyes?
of imagination is,
Does he hold his nose like this when you're mounting him?
Men, there are some men who can pretty much have sex with anyone, regardless of whether they're attracted to them. But I mean, I'm sure
they're in a relationship.
But in this case, I mean, I guess just based on what she told us, that wouldn't be my first conclusion.
Sure.
He could have a lower sex drive. He could have problems with intimacy.
Is he on antidepressants?
Is he on medication? Is there a change? Like when you were first in a relationship, was he initiating sex and this is now a change? And is that reflective of something else that's going on in the relationship? Or has it always been this way and you're just kind of getting fed up with it now? Right?
So how does she deal with this with her partner? What's a way to either initiate in a different way or discuss it with him so that he can know what her expectations are?
So I think, again, this is all speculation because obviously we don't know this woman or her situation, but if she was one of my clients, I would say, okay, let's talk about how you're showing up in the relationship. Like, what's the dynamic between you? Are you bitter and resentful because he's not initiating sex? Because that's also not sexy. If you're coming, if you're feeling hurt and you're projecting that as now like, I'm mad at you and you suck, like that's not a great aphrodisiac, right?
And it could be like little microaggressions throughout the day.
Yeah, a lot of little microaggressions. It could be just logistical. I don't know what your schedules and your lifestyles are like. I don't know. I mean, for some people, like they're working a lot, like they're just not interested in having sex, or they're tired, or they're whatever.
Sometimes we'd be tired when 9 o'clock rolls around.
Some people like Demona.
Some of us are
Can't stay up till midnight.
permanently on East Coast time on the West Coast.
But obviously, yeah, it's got to be a conversation. I mean, I think, and I don't know. I mean, I always feel like when it comes to sex, you always kind of want to like non-verbally communicate before you directly communicate. So like, you know what I mean? So so say in this situation, like if someone were to say to me just like, oh, my boyfriend never initiates sex, I'd be like, okay, you need to start initiating sex. Like, don't just be like, you never initiate sex. 'Cause that's accusatory, and then he's going to get defensive, and that's, so rather than that, be like, okay, what does he like? Like, where are the opportunities to bring more passion, intimacy? Like, are we being intimate with each other outside of sexual intercourse, right? Like, are we holding hands? Are we kissing? Are we affectionate? Or is it like, we're kind of just generally sort of cold and distant, but then, you kind of like, okay, like, let's do this now. There are lots of different things, like different kind of more holistic way of looking at what's going on in the relationship and the dynamic generally around intimacy. But then with a lot of love, I know she's feeling insecure right now. So when we feel insecure and defensive, it's easy to attack, right? Because we're feeling attacked in a way. But with a lot of love, you got to say like, hey, I love having sex with you. Like, I'm so attracted to you, and I want to know like what's going on. Like, do you enjoy sex with me? Like, are you attracted to me? Like, what can we do so that our sex lives are more, like you just got to like approach it like with vulnerability and love, which is not always easy to do, but. And
also with compassion for yourself, because I just see so many women go to that place immediately like, oh, well, you just must not be attracted to me.
Yeah. Like, I gained 10 pounds. He doesn't want me anymore. It's like, no, like that's,
they don't,
yeah.
Yeah. And they're not
they never
seeing,
care
even
about
seeing, there's a good story in the latest Brene Brown book about that. Like, her husband like wasn't affectionate to her, and they were like swimming across a lake. And by the time she got to the other side of the lake, she had this whole story in her head of like, he doesn't love me anymore, and he thinks I'm fat, and like all those negative thoughts that we tell ourselves in our head, they compound, and then we place them on the other person. And he was just like, oh, I was thinking about something totally different, and he just wasn't anywhere near where she thought he was. So I want to get to a couple more questions. We have this one from a gal from Syracuse, New York. She says, I started seeing this guy. We've only been on 3 dates so far, but it's established we're both interested in each other. Here's the deal, though, Francesca. His chest is super hairy. And she says, I really don't know how to go about telling him to shave it without offending him. When should I say something? How? And is it too early? Should I wait until it's further along? They've been on 3 dates.
Oh, my goodness.
She doesn't want to touch the.
Well, I'll be very interested to see how this conversation.
First of all,
Producer Thomas.
Shout out to Syracuse, New York.
Full face, face hair.
And check. Oh, yeah. Like to hear Stoot.
I went to Syracuse undergrad, so shout out to Syracuse, New York. But but
are the guys hairy there?
Just to protect them against the cold.
It's very cold. It's very cold. So
evolutionary.
It makes sense. I mean, the first thing that strikes me about this is the way that she framed the question is like it's a foregone conclusion that he should have to shave his chest hair because she wants him to, which I think is a questionable way to approach this, right?
But you would think he would do it if he knew that she would find him more attractive if he did, right?
This is the thing. I understand she might have a preference for a less hairy chest, and she's entitled to that preference. But to put that on the other person, like he has
An expectation.
you know, that's the thing. I mean,
Yeah.
what is the relationship really about? Like, really, like his chest hair, is it that deep? Like, if it's something that you're like, I'm actually not attracted to this person because of
his
this
chest hair.
That's one
She was
thing.
really attracted to him from the neck up,
Yeah.
but
if it's just like, oh, I don't like it that much, I wish it was different. I mean, because if you just flip it to something about you, if you know,
he was like, I wish your boobs were bigger.
yeah, like would
Can you wear a padded bra?
yeah, can you wear a padded bra, or like, can you like do this or do that? You know, and it's like everybody wants somebody who wants us for who we are. So
Yeah.
I think that's something that's superficial. And if you're otherwise like, this is a good guy, you're on the same page, you're enjoying each other's company, you're attracted to each other, you have shared values, you have shared relationship goals, like who cares that his chest is hairy? And maybe one day down the road you can be like, oh, honey, like, have you ever considered trimming your chest hair? But not like an expectation like you have to do this to be with me. Is it a condition? That's not cool.
I hope to one day be as mature as you are, Francesca Hogi. Because I do have a thing with hair. Like, I'm
It's
sorry,
natural.
Producer Thomas. I know, but Producer Thomas knows I'm not a beard person.
I'm not a beard person
like,
either. Yeah.
I can look at a man's face and say that is an
Except for you, Tom.
attractive
Yeah,
face. Luckily, we're not making out. Because I can look at a man's face and say that's attractive, even if he has a beard. But I would not have any interest in touching it or kissing it.
Yeah, I'm not. I am also not a huge fan of beards.
You're safe here,
but
Producer Thomas.
well,
We're not going to get get into a
I guess,
Weinstein
like,
situation.
Yeah.
you know, like if a guy has like
Do we have
like
an HR department?
if a guy has a big bushy beard, like, yeah, I don't like that. But I'm also then just not attracted to him. Like, I wouldn't start dating somebody and then say like,
You got to change.
you got to change. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like that.
I love you. You're perfect now. Change.
Exactly what I was gonna say. You read my mind.
I agree, and I think it is definitely too early. I do want to get to one more question before we go into the diatribe and a very quick ... So this last question, she says she's 27. She says, what would you say if your boyfriend has a lady friend who's in love with him? He says he told her he's not interested, but she's still acting like his girlfriend.
Oh God, this is ridiculous.
This just happened to a client of mine, and she actually said to him, I think your friend is overreaching, and she could lay out the reasons why it made her uncomfortable. And he said, you know what, you're absolutely right, and you're my girlfriend, and I will draw a boundary. And he had a conversation with his friend the next day.
Yeah, and that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
If he's just like, oh no, it's okay, she's my friend, then he's then enjoying and probably on some level encouraging it because he likes that attention. Yeah,
Don't we all like that attention?
Yeah. You know what? I actually don't like people being into me if I'm not into them. It makes me uncomfortable.
I'll take it. Well, I'm into you, girl, and you're online at francescahogi.com and at Dear Franny on social media, and I'm at Damona Hoffman, that's my name, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But that's not it, because you're going to be doing dating ... in just a moment. But first, I got to talk to you guys a little bit about what's been, as Ray would say, burning my britches or whatever.
Burning your biscuits, I think.
Burning my biscuit. I mixed metaphors. Damona's diatribe is on. I have to talk to you about online dating fear. I was talking to a potential client last week about online dating, and she said she had never tried it before because it scared her. Y'all, I hear this a lot. Listen, online daters have gotten a bad rap. Back in 2000, when I started online dating, people thought it was comprised mostly of nerds and weirdos in their parents' basement. But now that Tinder has popularized dating apps, I hear that it's just a bunch of cheaters and liars. Plus, there are those predators waiting online to steal your money and your livelihood and your soul. Are there creeps online? Yeah, of course. Are there creeps pretty much everywhere else you go to find a date? Yeah. So if you're afraid of online dating, let's be real. You're not afraid of meeting someone online. You're afraid of not meeting someone. So don't let your fear of the unknown or of opening up to another person and taking the risk in love keep you from feeling the joy of sharing your life with another person. This is the time of year when dating sites and apps see the most new members, so don't be shy. Sign on, open up, and let in a little love. I had to get that off my chest, Francesca.
I love it. I totally agree with that. I totally co-sign that, and I was just trying to see if I could find it really quickly, but I just saw a statistic the other day that I think by 2020, something like 70% of couples are projected to have met online.
Yes.
Yeah.
We talked about
We've been
that
talking about that
last
past
week,
few
I
weeks.
think.
Yeah.
Yes, completely. And I think the numbers are actually underreported. I think they have been for a while because people were ashamed.
Lie. Yeah, people lie.
Or they
people,
say-
some people still lie about it.
Like I just spoke with someone yesterday who said, "Oh, I met my boyfriend on Instagram," but she doesn't consider herself someone who online dated. It's like he was online and you are dating. You are an online dater.
Yeah.
Even if it's not a dating site, you are meeting online. Okay. We always cap off the show with a segment called Dating ... I feel like the best advice is always your first instinct. So in this segment, I'll say a phrase, and you, my guest co-host, Francesca Hogi, will complete it with your first instinct love advice.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I guess.
Number 1, blank is always sexy.
Confidence.
Number 2, blank is never sexy.
Arrogance.
Oh, there's a fine line there.
There is.
Number 3, the
It's an
biggest
art.
the biggest red flag on a dating profile is
Negativity.
the most common first date mistake is
Being too quick to being judgmental.
Number 5, the most important quality in a wife is
Friendship, devotion.
I'm going to switch it up. Number 6, the most important quality in a husband is
Devotion.
okay. See, I like that. The sexes are equal here. Francesca, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the Dates and Mates show.
Thank you for having me, Damona. This
You're
was
welcome
great.
back anytime.
Thank you.
And you can find more from Francesca online at francescahogi.com or on social media at Dear Franny. And things are really popping on my Twitter and Instagram. You can find quotes from the show and more advice and behind the scenes photos and lots of stuff there on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Damona Hoffman. And by the way, my friends at Zola want to give you a credit on your wedding registry. If you are getting married and you don't know what to register for, let Zola help you at zola.com/dates. If you want to get that $50 credit, don't forget to use my code Zola, ZOLA.com/dates. Don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes if you like my political commentary, or if you hate it. I still want to hear from you, and I still love all of my listeners. I'm wishing you happy holidays. We will be back again next week. We are not taking a break. We're going to go straight through until the new year. But until then, happy dating.